Hello, everyone. Welcome to our English Learning Podcast. My name is Lisa.
And my name is James. Today, we will have a conversation about teaching and working in education.
That is right. This episode is perfect for English learners at the B1 or B2 level. We will speak clearly and use common vocabulary that you can use every day.
We will discuss school life, teaching methods, student relationships, and many other topics related to education. Are you ready?
Let us start our conversation now. Good morning, Lisa. How are you doing today?
Good morning, James. I am doing well. Thank you for asking. How about you? Did you have a good weekend?
My weekend was quite busy. I spent most of Saturday preparing my lessons for this week. On Sunday, I went hiking with some friends to clear my mind.
That sounds like a nice balance between work and relaxation. We teachers really need that balance. Our job can be very demanding.
Yes, I am still learning how to manage my time better. You have been teaching for many years, correct?
Yes, I have been an educator for about 14 years now. It is hard to believe how quickly time passes.
14 years is very impressive. I am still quite new to this profession. This is only my second year of teaching.
2 years is a good foundation. The first few years are always the most challenging. How has your experience been so far?
It has been both challenging and rewarding. Before I became a teacher, I worked as a product manager in the tech industry for 6 years.
Oh, that is very interesting. What made you decide to change your career from technology to education?
I wanted to do something that felt more meaningful to me. As a product manager, I help develop software products. Now I help young people develop their skills and knowledge. It feels more fulfilling.
That is a wonderful reason to enter the teaching profession. Education needs passionate people who truly care about making a difference.
Thank you for saying that. However, I must be honest with you. Teaching is much harder than I expected it to be. I have many questions about classroom management.
Classroom management is definitely one of the biggest challenges for new teachers. Can you tell me what specific problems you're facing?
Well, some students talk constantly during my lessons. They use their mobile phones when they should be listening. They disturb other students who want to learn. I try to stop these behaviors, but sometimes I feel like I'm losing control of my classroom.
I completely understand your frustration. Every teacher experiences this situation at some point. May I share some strategies that have worked well for me over the years?
Yes, please. I would really appreciate any advice you can give me. What should I do when students are being disruptive?
First, you need to establish very clear rules and expectations from the very first day of class. When you meet a new group of students, spend time explaining your classroom rules and the consequences for breaking those rules.
I did create a list of rules and posted it on the classroom wall, but students do not always follow them. That is completely normal. The most important thing is not just having rules, but being consistent about enforcing them. You must apply the consequences every single time a rule is broken, not just when you feel like it.
I think that is where I am failing. Sometimes when I am very tired at the end of a long day, I ignore small problems because I do not have the energy to deal with them.
Students are very observant. They notice immediately when you are inconsistent. When they see that rules are not always enforced, they will constantly test your boundaries to see what they can get away with.
You are absolutely right. I need to be much more disciplined about enforcing rules fairly and consistently, even when I am exhausted.
Exactly. Consistency builds trust and respect in the classroom. What else concerns you about classroom management?
I have read that building positive relationships with students is important, but I am not sure exactly how to do that.
Building relationships is crucial. When students feel that you genuinely care about them as individuals, they are much more likely to behave well and participate in learning.
But how do I build those relationships? I have 30 students in most of my classes. It is difficult to connect with so many people.
You are right that it is challenging, but you can start small. Learn every student's name as quickly as possible. Make eye contact with each student. Ask them about their interests, hobbies, and goals.
I do try to learn names quickly, but I struggle to find time for individual conversations.
You do not need long conversations. Even 30 seconds of personal attention can make a big difference. You can talk to students before class starts, during breaks, or after class ends.
I usually spend my breaks in the teacher's room, preparing materials or grading papers. Should I be spending that time with students instead?
Not all of your breaks, but some of them, yes. Being present and available to students shows that you care about them beyond just teaching your subject.
That makes sense. I will make more effort to be accessible to students. Can we discuss lesson planning? I feel like my lessons are not very engaging.
Of course. What specific challenges are you having with lesson planning?
My lessons often feel boring, even to me. I explain concepts, then students do exercises from the textbook. I can see that many students look uninterested, and honestly, I feel bored too.
Many new teachers face this exact problem. The solution is to add much more variety to your lessons.
What do you mean by adding variety?
Use many different types of activities and teaching methods. Do not rely only on lectures and textbook exercises. Include games, group work, pair work, class discussions, videos, hands-on activities, and real-world applications.
I worry that games and fun activities waste valuable class time. Should we not be focused on covering all the required curriculum content?
That is a very common concern, but here's what research shows us. When students are engaged and enjoying themselves, they actually learn more efficiently. 10 minutes of active, engaged learning is often more effective than 30 minutes of passive listening.
I had never thought about it that way before. Can you give me some specific examples of engaging activities I could use?
Absolutely. For language learning, role-play activities work extremely well. Students practice real-life conversations in pairs or small groups.
I tried to do a role-play activity once, but the classroom became very chaotic and noisy. It did not go well at all.
Role plays definitely require careful preparation and very clear instructions. Before students begin, you should demonstrate the activity with a strong student so that everyone understands exactly what they are supposed to do.
I probably did not give enough clear instructions or modeling. What else should I do to make role-play successful?
Give students adequate time to prepare before they perform. Let them write some notes or practice quietly with their partner first. This preparation time helps them feel more confident.
What should I do about students who are extremely shy and do not want to speak in front of others?
You must be patient and understanding with shy students. Allow them to work with a partner they feel comfortable with. Do not force them to perform in front of the entire class until they are ready. Confidence develops slowly.
That is good advice. I want to encourage participation, but I do not want to make anyone feel uncomfortable or anxious.
Exactly. You should push students gently out of their comfort zones to help them grow, but you must respect their limits and pace of development.
What other types of activities do you recommend for language learning?
I really enjoy using authentic materials like newspaper articles, podcast episodes, and video clips from real sources. These materials show students how English is actually used in the real world outside the classroom.
Where do you find high-quality materials? When I search online, there are so many resources available that I feel overwhelmed and cannot decide what to use.
That is a very common problem. Over time, you will discover your favorite websites, podcasts, and video channels. I can share a list of my favorite resources with you if you would like.
That would be extremely helpful. I spend many hours every week searching for good materials.
I understand. Every teacher goes through that process. The good news is that over time, you will build your own personal library of materials that you can organize, reuse, and adapt for different classes and levels.
I am starting to organize my materials better now. I keep everything on my computer in folders organized by topic and skill level.
Excellent. Good organization saves tremendous amounts of time in the long run. I also recommend keeping notes about what worked well and what did not work in each lesson.
I should definitely start doing that. Sometimes I repeat the same mistakes because I can't remember exactly what happened when I taught something the previous year.
A teaching journal or log is incredibly valuable for continuous improvement. Even brief notes can help you become a better teacher over time.
Lisa, I really need to talk about grading and assessment. It is overwhelming me.
Grading is definitely one of the most time-consuming aspects of teaching. What specifically is overwhelming you?
I take home huge stacks of papers every single evening and every weekend. I spend hours and hours grading, and I feel like I can never catch up. The work never ends.
I remember feeling exactly the same way during my first few years of teaching. Let me share some strategies that have helped me manage the grading workload much more effectively.
Please do. I am desperate for any advice that can help me.
First, you need to understand that not every assignment needs detailed, thorough grading. Some assignments can be checked quickly for completion, or students can grade them themselves.
Really? I thought I was supposed to carefully grade everything that students submit.
No, definitely not. You need to think about the purpose of each assignment. Is it practice work to help students develop skills? Or is it a formal assessment to measure their mastery of specific content?
I see what you mean. Practice assignments probably do not need as much detailed feedback as formal assessments.
Exactly right. For practice work, you can simply check whether students completed it and give very quick feedback. Save your time and energy for important tests, projects, and major assignments.
That one change alone would save me many hours every week. What about when I do need to grade major assignments and tests? How can I do that more efficiently?
For major assessments, I strongly recommend using rubrics. Do you know what a rubric is?
I have heard the term before, but I've never actually created one. Can you explain how rubrics work?
A rubric is a grading tool that clearly lists the criteria you are evaluating and describes different levels of performance for each criterion.
Can you give me a concrete example?
Sure. Imagine you're grading a written essay. Your rubric might include 4 criteria: organization, grammar and mechanics, vocabulary usage, and content development.
Okay, I'm following so far.
For each criterion, you describe what constitutes different levels of performance. You might use a 4-point scale: excellent, proficient, developing, and beginning.
So when I grade a student's essay, I just identify which level of performance they achieved for each criterion.
Precisely. You can add brief written comments for clarification or encouragement, but the rubric does most of the heavy lifting for you.
That sounds so much faster and easier than writing lengthy comments on every single paper. It also sounds more objective.
It is both faster and more objective. Additionally, students really appreciate rubrics because they know exactly what you expect before they even start the assignment.
I like that transparency. Students cannot complain that grading is unfair or subjective if the criteria and expectations are clearly stated from the beginning.
Exactly. Rubrics also help you grade more consistently from one student to the next. We all have unconscious biases, but rubrics minimize their impact on our grading.
How much time does it take to create a good rubric?
Creating your first rubric for a particular assignment might take 1 to 2 hours. However, once you have created it, you can reuse and adapt it year after year. It's a very worthwhile investment of time.
I will definitely start creating rubrics. Now, what about giving feedback to students? I tend to mark every single error I find on their papers.
That approach is very common, but it is problematic. When a paper is covered with red marks correcting every mistake, students often feel overwhelmed and discouraged. They don't know where to start improving.
I have noticed that some of my students look defeated and upset when they receive their graded work back. They probably feel like their work is terrible.
Exactly. Instead of marking everything, identify 2 or 3 priority areas where each individual student needs improvement. Focus your feedback primarily on those areas.
So different students might receive feedback on different aspects of their work?
Yes, this is called differentiated feedback. Each student is at a different stage of development and needs different guidance. One student might need to focus on verb tenses, while another needs to work on paragraph organization.
That makes sense. But doesn't it take more time to customize feedback for each student?
Surprisingly, it actually takes less time because you're writing much less overall. And it's far more effective because students can focus on specific, manageable improvements rather than feeling overwhelmed by everything they need to fix.
I like that approach. I will try it with my next batch of assignments. Do you have any other tips about effective feedback?
Yes, this is very important. Always include positive comments along with corrections. Tell students what they did well, not only what was wrong or needs improvement.
I often forget to mention the positive aspects because I'm so focused on finding and correcting errors.
Many teachers do that, naturally. But positive feedback is extremely powerful. When students feel successful and recognized for their strengths, they become more motivated to continue improving.
How can I balance genuine praise with honest, accurate assessment? I don't want to give false praise or inflate grades unrealistically.
The key is to be very specific with your praise. Instead of just writing good job or nice work, explain exactly what the student did well and why it was effective.
So I should write something like, your introduction paragraph effectively captured the reader's attention by starting with a thought-provoking question instead of just good intro.
That is a perfect example. Specific, detailed praise teaches students what successful work actually looks like and helps them replicate that success in the future.
And specific criticism helps them understand precisely what needs to change and how to improve it.
Absolutely correct. Whether feedback is positive or corrective, being specific and clear makes it useful and actionable for students.
Scene 3. Handling difficult parent interactions.
Lisa, something difficult happened last week, and I would really appreciate your advice about it. A parent was extremely angry with me.
Oh no, that sounds very stressful. Can you tell me what happened?
I gave her son a failing grade on a major project because the quality was very poor and he clearly had not put in much effort. The mother sent me a very angry email saying that I was being unfair and that I was targeting her son.
That must have been upsetting for you. How did you respond to her email?
I wrote back immediately, trying to explain my grading criteria and defend my decision. But she replied with an even angrier email. Now she has contacted the principal and demanded a meeting with all three of us.
Parent communication can be extremely challenging. It is unfortunately something that teacher training programs do not prepare us for very well.
Exactly. I felt completely unprepared and did not know how to handle the situation properly. What should I have done differently?
First of all, do not be too hard on yourself. These situations are difficult even for experienced teachers. Let me ask you this. Do you have good documentation of the student's work in your grading criteria?
Yes, fortunately I do. I have the actual project he submitted, the rubric I used to grade it, and examples of what excellent projects look like from other students.
Perfect. That documentation is your best protection. It demonstrates that your grading was based on clear, objective standards, not personal feelings or bias.
The meeting with the principal and the parent is scheduled for tomorrow afternoon. I am extremely nervous about it.
Your nervousness is completely understandable. However, you are well prepared with your documentation. The most important thing is to stay calm and present the facts professionally.
What should I do if the parent becomes angry or confrontational during the meeting?
No matter what the parent says or how she behaves, you must stay calm and professional. Do not get defensive or argue back. Remember that she is upset about her child's situation, not really about you as a person.
That is difficult to remember when someone is attacking you and questioning your professional judgment.
I know it is very hard. Try to listen to all of her concerns before you respond. Sometimes people just need to feel heard and understood. Let her express everything she wants to say.
I think I made that mistake in my email response. I immediately defended myself instead of acknowledging her concerns first.
That is a natural reaction, but it usually escalates conflict. In tomorrow's meeting, try this approach. Listen carefully first, acknowledge her feelings and concerns, then calmly explain your perspective with evidence.
Can you give me an example of what I should say?
You might say something like, I understand that you are concerned about your son's grade on this project. His success is important to both of us. Let me show you the project, the rubric I used to grade it, and examples of what excellent projects look like from other students.
That sounds much more collaborative and less defensive than what I wrote in my email.
Yes, and notice how it frames the situation. You are showing that you care about the student and that you want to work together with the parent. This changes the dynamic from adversarial to collaborative.
I really hope this approach works tomorrow. I do not want to have ongoing conflict with this parent for the rest of the school year.
Most parents ultimately want what is best for their children. If you clearly demonstrate that you share that goal, you can usually find common ground and resolve the conflict.
What if the principal sides with the parent and asks me to change the grade even though I believe my grading was fair?
If your grading was fair, well documented, and based on clear criteria, the principal should support your professional judgment. However, you may need to compromise in some way to resolve the situation.
Should I compromise even if I believe I'm right and the grade is fair?
Sometimes, yes. Teaching involves much more than just being right. Building positive relationships, solving problems peacefully, and maintaining a good working environment are also important parts of our job.
I'm learning that teaching is about so much more than just delivering content and grading assignments.
That is very true. Teaching requires skills in psychology, communication, conflict resolution, emotional intelligence, and many other areas beyond subject matter expertise.
Do you still have difficult interactions with parents sometimes?
Yes, occasionally, but I have learned over the years how to prevent many conflicts through proactive, positive communication.
What do you mean by proactive communication?
I contact parents regularly throughout the year, not only when there is a problem to report. I send positive emails and make phone calls to share good news and celebrate student successes.
I only contact parents when something serious has gone wrong or when a student is failing. I never thought to contact them with positive news.
Try making positive contacts too. When a student does something good or shows improvement, let the parents know. Parents love hearing positive news about their children.
I bet that would make parents much more receptive when I do need to discuss a problem or concern later.
Exactly. It builds trust and goodwill. Parents know that you genuinely care about their child, not just that you're quick to criticize.
That is brilliant advice. I am going to start making positive parent contacts immediately.
Also, when you do need to discuss a problem or concern, I recommend using this structure. Start with something genuinely positive about the student, then address the concern clearly, then end with a specific action plan for improvement.
Some people call that the compliment sandwich approach, right?
Yes, some people use that term, but it's more than just softening criticism. It's about presenting a complete, balanced picture of the student and demonstrating your commitment to helping them succeed.
Can you give me a specific example of how that might sound?
Sure, you might say something like, Maria is a creative thinker who contributes interesting ideas during class discussions. However, she has not been completing her homework assignments regularly, which is affecting her understanding of new concepts. I would like to work together with you to help her develop better organizational habits and time management skills. Here is my plan for supporting her.
That sounds much more constructive and collaborative than just saying Maria is not doing her homework and she's going to fail.
It is much more effective. It invites the parent to work with you as a partner in the student's education rather than putting them on the defensive.
Scene 4. Using technology in education. Lisa, I wanted to ask you about integrating technology into teaching. With my background as a product manager in the tech industry, I thought this would be easy for me, but it has actually been quite challenging.
That's interesting. Why has it been challenging for you?
Students are very comfortable with social media and games on their devices, but they often don't know how to use technology effectively for learning. Also, technology frequently fails during lessons, which is extremely frustrating.
I have experienced those exact same problems. The internet connection stops working, videos won't load, students forget their passwords, or an app crashes. It can derail an entire lesson.
Yes, last week I planned a complete lesson around an interactive online activity. But when class started, the school's internet was not working. I had no backup plans, so the lesson was a disaster.
That is a mistake we all make at least once. Now you know, always have a backup plan that does not require any technology at all.
I definitely learned that lesson the hard way. Now I prepare alternative activities for every lesson just in case.
That's smart planning. What kinds of technology do you typically use in your teaching?
I use presentation software like PowerPoint or Google Slides, educational websites, and videos from YouTube or other platforms. I also tried using some language learning apps on tablets, but managing 30 students all using tablets at the same time was absolutely chaotic.
Using devices with a large class requires very clear, explicit procedures and rules. Students need to know exactly what they should be doing at every moment and what is not allowed.
What specific rules do you establish for device use in your classroom?
First, all devices must stay completely off until I explicitly give permission to turn them on. Second, students may only access the specific website or application that I direct them to use. Third, if I observe any student using a device for unauthorized purposes, that student immediately loses device privileges for that day and possibly longer.
Those are very clear, specific rules. Do students generally follow them?
Most students do, but I must be... Lisa, I have students with extremely different abilities and needs in my classes. Some students learn very quickly and easily, while others struggle with even basic concepts. How do you effectively handle this wide diversity?
That is one of the most significant challenges in teaching. What you are describing is called differentiation, adjusting your teaching methods and materials to meet the diverse learning needs of all students.
I have heard that term many times before, but how do you actually implement differentiation in practice? It seems overwhelming.
There are many different strategies for differentiation. You can assign different tasks to different students based on their current level. You can provide additional support and scaffolding to struggling students. You can offer extension activities and enrichment opportunities for advanced students.
That sounds like an enormous amount of extra planning and work. How do you possibly manage it all?
It is definitely extra work initially, but it becomes much easier and more automatic with experience. My advice is to start small. You do not need to differentiate every single activity in every lesson.
Where should I focus my initial efforts?
Start by identifying the students who most urgently need extra support and those who most need additional challenge. Perhaps that is 5 students in each category per class.
Okay. And then what do I do?
For struggling students, provide additional scaffolding. Scaffolding means temporary support structures that help students complete tasks they could not complete independently.
Can you explain what scaffolding looks like in concrete terms?
Scaffolding might include more detailed guidance and instructions, simplified language, visual aids, graphic organizers, sentence frames, or additional examples. As students develop skills and confidence, you gradually remove the scaffolding support.
Can you give me a specific, concrete example?
Sure, imagine students are writing a persuasive essay. A struggling student might receive a detailed outline template with sentence starters for each paragraph. This template helps them organize their ideas and get started. Later in the year, you provide less detailed templates as they become more confident and capable. Eventually, they can write essays independently without any template.
I see. The template is the temporary scaffold that you gradually remove as the student develops independence.
Exactly correct. Now, what about advanced students? Do you know what to do for students who finish work quickly or find the regular work too easy?
Not really. I usually just let them finish early and then sit quietly or read a book. But I can tell they get bored.
Yes, that approach is not ideal. Advanced students need enrichment activities that extend and deepen their learning, not just more of the same work or quiet waiting time.
What kinds of enrichment activities work well?
More complex or open-ended tasks, creative projects, research assignments, opportunities to explore related topics in greater depth, or peer tutoring responsibilities where they help other students.
Peer tutoring? You mean allowing advanced students to help struggling students?
Yes, when implemented thoughtfully, peer tutoring benefits both students tremendously. The tutor deepens and solidifies their own understanding by explaining concepts to someone else. The student receiving help gets personalized attention and often finds peer explanations easier to understand than teacher explanations.
How do I set up effective peer tutoring so it actually works well?
First, you must train your peer tutors properly. Teach them how to help without simply giving away the answers. Emphasize that good tutors ask guiding questions and help others think through problems themselves.
That makes sense. Just giving someone the answer does not help them learn anything.
Correct. Also, I recommend rotating who serves as a tutor. Many different students can teach something to their classmates, not only the highest performing students.
I like that idea. It gives more students opportunities to develop confidence and leadership skills.
Exactly. What about students with diagnosed learning disabilities? Do you have any in your classes currently?
Yes, I have several students with individualized education plans. I receive documents listing their required accommodations, but I am often unsure about how to implement those accommodations effectively.
What kinds of accommodations are you supposed to provide?
Different students have different accommodations. Some need extended time on tests, others need preferential seating near the front, some need instructions simplified or repeated multiple times. One student needs all reading materials provided in larger font and simpler language. It is a lot to remember and manage.
It is definitely a lot to remember. I strongly recommend creating a simple chart or checklist with each student's specific accommodations so you can easily reference it when planning lessons and assessments.
That is a good practical idea. Sometimes I honestly forget exactly which accommodations each student needs.
That happens to everyone. Also, don't hesitate to regularly contact the special education teacher or school counselor when you have questions. They can provide guidance about how to implement accommodations effectively for specific students.
I should do that more often. I usually try to figure everything out by myself, but I don't always know the best approach.
Collaboration with specialists is extremely important. They have specialized training and experience that can help you support all your students much more effectively.
What about students who are learning English as a second or additional language? I have several in my classes who struggle significantly because of language barriers.
English language learners definitely need specific supports. Speak clearly at a moderate pace, use visual aids, gestures, and demonstrations extensively. Check frequently for understanding rather than assuming they understood.
I try to do those things. What else helps English language learners succeed?
Pair them strategically with supportive, patient classmates who can help translate or clarify instructions when needed. Allow them extra processing time to understand information and formulate responses. Do not rush them.
Should I simplify the academic content for English language learners?
Not necessarily. They need access to the same rigorous content as other students. However, you may need to modify how you present the content or how students demonstrate their understanding.
Can you explain the difference between accommodation and modification?
An accommodation changes how a student accesses content or demonstrates learning, but the learning expectations remain the same. For example, allowing a student to record oral responses instead of writing them, or providing extended time on tests.
And what is a modification?
A modification changes what the student is expected to learn or the level of difficulty. For example, requiring a student to answer only 5 questions instead of 10, or providing questions at a lower level of complexity.
When should I use modification versus accommodation?
That depends on each individual student's needs and what is specified in their education plan. For students with disabilities, this should be clearly documented. Always consult with specialists when you are uncertain.
This is all so complicated. I genuinely want to help every single student succeed, but I often feel completely overwhelmed.
Teaching is incredibly complex work, and you will never do everything perfectly. Just do your best each day, ask for help when you need it, and keep learning and growing. That's all any teacher can realistically do.
Lisa, may I ask you about something somewhat personal?
Of course. What is on your mind?
How do you maintain a healthy balance between your work life and your personal life? I feel like teaching is completely consuming my entire life.